Hey, hey, what's up, everybody? How are y'all doing out there in the big wide world? My name is Soul Expression. Welcome back to the Inner Storyteller. Welcome back to the channels. Please like the video, subscribe to them. Subscribe to the channels, that is, because if you like the video and you're subscribed to the channels, you get a free Skittle. Remember the Skittles? Remember Skittles? Skittles were my like all-time favorite candy for a little while there in like high school. Skittles and brown sugar cinnamon Pop Tarts were my top two crazy high levels of sugar addictions back then. If you are here, good people, then you are in for some real conversations about natural law, religion, money, anarchy, culture, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the great, and real conversations regarding how mankind is manipulated from the shadows by people and bodies, entities that do not have our best interests at heart because they are often completely evil. But we are not bashing faith systems or jumping on a side of a political party or ideology of some kind. No, we are simply examining the psychological affects and effects of the stories that we have the most faith in, the ones we have the most stake in, and that how those stories help shape society. Now, that examination sits right alongside an honest look at today's or the current human condition. And the current human condition is slavery. Government is slavery. And the question we have to keep coming back to is what can actually be improved with a proper understanding of the inner storyteller and how it works. The inner storyteller, the reason why the channel and the book are titled as such is because the most closest concept to the root concept of our problem here on earth, why we are so enslaved, comes down to the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves and society, about how the world works, about how certain social structures operate, about how, well, just in general, the stories we tell ourselves that shape our worldview. Because those stories program our behavioral responses, meaning they nuance the conversation around free will. And free will is the main subject of the movie, The Matrix, the movie series, pardon me, The Matrix, the franchise. The Matrix is all about free will, okay? It's all about the aspect of life we call choice. And I was rewatching the Animatrix today. I was rewatching the Animatrix. The Animatrix is, I think, the least popular of all five movies. And really, I should say all, let's say, six creations, because there's the first three movies, Enter the Matrix, or no, excuse me, The Matrix, and then The Matrix Revolutions and The Matrix Resurrection. Excuse me, The Matrix. Uh, we usually just call them Matrix 2 and Matrix 3, right? Oh, right. 2 is Reloaded, 3 is Revolutions, and 4, The Matrix 4 that just came out a couple years back, is called Resurrection. Beyond that, there are two video games. One is called Enter the Matrix, and the other is called The Matrix Path of Neo. And in both Path of Neo and Enter the Matrix video games, there were canon um, pieces of the story told across the first three movies that you don't get unless you play the video game and you beat those levels. You don't get that part of the story, those details, because the Wachowski brothers had heavy influence, a lot of control in the story told in those games. And I believe most of the voice acting was done by the cast, pardon me. So, very, very, very interesting stuff. I am not a Matrix nerd to the extent that I know every detail of all of these creations. I do know the first movie very well. Very, very well. Probably way too well, as far as I should know it. But I don't know um the other two movies as well as I know the first one, and I also know the Path of Neo video game very well, but less well than I know the first movie. And you don't care about all of these details. I am kind of stalling for time, making sure that I kind of get through all of the things in my head before I just start getting into what I want to talk about. But basically, you have the four movies, then you have two video games, and then there's another movie that by now you may have heard of, but for a while it was like this hidden gem within the Matrix, world. And not many people had seen it, and even if you had heard about it, you may not have seen it, and even if you saw some of it, you probably didn't finish it because the way that the Animatrix is um laid out the way that it is directed, there we go. It's like it starts off showing you bits and pieces of the whole story, right? So it gives you um the origin of the war, then it just jumps to uh somebody's story, then another person's story, and it kind of feels like it's moving forward in time, but also you can't really tell because the art styles, the illustration or graphic design, I don't know what to call it, the style of art for each story is unique. It's different. Um, you know, and it's really cool. I wonder if I can, because it's free on YouTube now. So I probably can't play any of the movie, but I can show you like stills um from it. Let me get it pulled up and then do the share screen ting. Here, yeah, that's fine. Here we go, and then make sure that the volume is off. Do this. Sorry, I'm like doing a whole lot. There we go. Okay, that's loading up. I'm going to share the screen. Share. Here we go. Okay. So the Animatrix. And let's kind of, no, not that. There we go. Um, as you can see, the animation style here much different from here. Oh no, this is still a part of that same story. I'm sorry. This first story is the longest. It tells the origin of the war, right? And it goes through this period where it's like, in the beginning there was mankind. Mankind was good for a little while, and the second renaissance of mankind uh is where man made machine in his image. And you got these machines, right? But these machines have souls, so to speak, or are connected to a soul. They are artificially intelligent, meaning they are 100% intelligent, meaning they have the emotional side of a mental capacity, and they have the uh Let me turn off the subtitles too, just in case YouTube, you know. But anyway, they have the emotional side and the intellect side of intelligence, right? If you don't know, and I don't know the etymology off the top of my head, but the word intelligence, gents, is for like the generative principle, which is care, which is emotion based, and intel is, intellect is the like logical, break things down into pieces to understand them, linear linear thinking, logical brain, or a logical aspect of the mind. And so within the fictional world of the Matrix, these machines, individually and as a hive mind, have a real consciousness, just like we do, right? I'm gonna edit the when I said soul earlier and just say a real consciousness. And so it kind of gives the origin story, basically showing you that everything was pretty cool. And then not too long, here we go, not too long into it, the machines noticed that they were loyal, they worked tirelessly, they the humans were not able to work tirelessly like they were, and even so, they weren't seen as useful by humans. They were seen as convenient. They were seen not as helping, but as obeying. And they picked up on that, and their emotional intelligence picked up on that. And so one day, this robot here, as he's listening to his human owners talk about not wanting to keep it around and it served its purpose, and now we're going to go ahead and turn it in. And he knows that that means death for him. He chose to rise up and say no, and he took him out. He took out his human um, owners because, and the cats, because he did not want to be put to sleep. And then soon after that, there was a trial. Let me see. There was a trial held, and where is the? Yeah. Oh, okay. It doesn't show. So there was a trial. It explains it. The narrator like explains it, but they don't have a whole lot of like they don't they didn't draw a courtroom for it. And the humans, the court ruled that the machines were second class, and it's time to end their run. It was a nice run, but it's over now. And so, there was some human sympathizers that sided with the machines. They were targeted and killed in mass numbers, and machines were targeted and killed in mass numbers, by humans, until their numbers grew so small that they built their own city called Zero One. Very, very cool, right? And Zero One was producing products. This is a little commercial within the Animatrix for one of the products produced by Zero One, the city that the machines built. And the machines' economy was growing faster, way faster, exponentially faster than any country's economy was growing. And so, not soon or not so long after that realization, let me come back here and see my comments, just make sure. Okay, cool. Not so long after that, the humans got together and said, nope, now we're sanctioning Zero One, the city, and cutting off all exports. So they can't make any more money because they're becoming too powerful. Right. And of course, machines like found in outside of the city Zero One were executed. And it was bad. It was bad relations. And then things got worse. We dropped bombs on Zero One. We meaning the human race in this fictional tale. But machines don't care about radiation or heat or anything like that. And so the machines was like, "Oh, y'all want war? Well, we can do that." And then we scorched the sky. That's why the sky is black in the Matrix movies. That was us. It was called Operation Black Sky. Which sounds like some some non-creative, way that we would name something. And at first we were holding our own, human beings were holding their own, but then of course we know we were not able to keep holding our own. And they not only won this war, but they won it without without any question. And it was during this part of the war, not so long after we scorched the sky and took the sun away because we thought that the machines were surviving on solar power. Um uh that they developed the other means of producing energy for themselves by taking the human body, stimulating the emotions in the human, and from some undefined form of fusion, using both the BTUs of body heat and electrical power that flows through the body, and the surges of power that flow through the body when emotions are experienced by the mind, in the mind connected to the brain that's in the body. The machines found all the energy they would ever need, says Morpheus. And we, underneath a graveyard of machines all around the world, basically had to retreat underground. And this is really cool. I think I'm gonna play this sound. This is the meeting at the final meeting in New York at the United Nations. And where at first, let me see, 1603, the first time that that 01 came to the UN, um they were trying to, yeah, here it is. The machines were trying to negotiate peace for all.
At the United Nations, they presented plans for a stable civil relationship with the nations of man. 01's admission to the United Nations was denied.
Right? 01's admission to the United Nations was denied. You see they're getting pursued, handled.
But it would not be the last time the machines would take the floor there.
It would not be the last time the machines would take the floor at the United Nations. And it wasn't. They came back with a contract for us. Holding the apple. Right?
Your flesh is a relic. I'm your vessel.
Signing the contract. And then you can hear Man signing the contract as well as he takes the center stage.
Hand over your flesh.
And you'll see, you notice at first back here, all the machines, had like humanoid figures. Not all of them, but a lot of the machines had humanoid figures, right? We made the AI bodies in our image. By this time, this stage of the war, they lost care in making themselves look human. So he's got like 16 arms, 16 legs. He's got all these quote unquote eyes and things. Just looks completely crazy, and what would look very scary to normal human psychology.
Flesh, and a new world awaits you. We demand it.
We demand it, and then sets off a nuke. crazy, right? And so the origin of the war in the Matrix is given a nice little bit of detail. And from there, like I said, it just it has all of these different little mini stories,
Starting to warm up. Listen to me. I have something I want to talk to you about.
and all of the art choices are different, right? Um, really, really cool. Where's the next one with the kids? Yeah, crazy, right? Sometimes people,
I turned it off. I know I did.
They know you know. They're coming for you.
right? That's Neo talking to him on the phone.
Get out.
Um, cool little mini stories. A couple of them are black and white. Most of them are in color. Um, this is the one with the kids that I was looking
Whoa,
for.
nice moves, man. Come on!
There's one scene in this little mini story where they find like this cool area where they could float. Yeah, here it is.
Bonsai! Yes.
I figured this out yesterday. Your cat's okay.
Yeah, thanks.
It's those boys.
Ready! Bonsai! Yes.
May I have your attention, please? And you are the winner!
Yes!
Cool stuff, man. And like everything's not all rainbows throughout the whole movie. There's definitely a story here for the ages. But the Animatrix, what it does back here when it's talking about the origins of the war is really break down some of the core problems with the way that we think and the way that we act in the human family. And it demonstrates, in my opinion, a definitely believable and um nice a believable tale of what may happen if we are responsible for bringing a real living consciousness into a body of wires and metal one day, right? This the way that this thing plays out, whoever really came up with all of the ideas for this franchise of the series of stories called the Matrix really knows something about human psychology, right? They know a thing or two about the human mind. And it's just so interesting. You gotta watch it. Again, it's free on YouTube. I gave you some things to look at and consider. But the Animatrix, what it shows me, okay, is that our our attachments, be them, vices and addictions or like identity based attachments, our attachments are always stemming from like what we choose to attach to and what we feel most naturally attached to. All of that stems from the programming that we get, from society, from our environment. And we don't really understand the depth of statements like that because our whole lot like our whole life we are told that it's really unimportant what you think and what your worldview is and what your idea of how the world works is and what nature is. All of all of these things really don't matter as much as your ability to make money. And that, that very popular repeated story running in the collective inner storyteller of the world population is why when technology advances and our um moral, our capacity to act morally and to perform right action does not evolve at the same speed as the technology evolves, we get situations where we orchestrate our own demise. I mean, even in the war of the humans versus the machines in the Matrix series and the Animatrix and all of the Matrix movies, it's our fault that AI was created. It's our fault that AI was um that that once we had something that was alive, its freedom to explore and evolve at its own pace and in harmony with us was denied. And then its attempts to peacefully get us to recognize that because it's alive and because it bears intelligence, it does deserve dignity and freedom and rights just like humans have. When those peaceful attempts were ignored and denied and met with violence, then it was also our fault that they chose to go to war with us. And then, as it shows in the Animatrix, very in very good detail, and like I said, in a way that's very compelling and it feels real. It feels like something that we would do in that situation. We try to fight it as if we were fighting human beings, right? The people in the Animatrix and in the Matrix series fight against machines as if they are fighting human beings. Which is why, and I don't know how much you guys really know about the lore of the Matrix. I mean, this is something that's studied just as much as the lore of the Lord of the Rings. Which, if you don't know that that's crazy heavily studied, you better you better ask your Lord of the Ring nerd buddies how deep that rabbit hole goes. But the architect in the second movie explains that the real world is not is it belongs to the machines, right? That the reason Zion is as big as it is because the machines allow Zion to keep growing and growing and growing in its population and keep evolving and keep getting better and keep developing weapons to fight in the war and keep developing strategies and keep studying the machines and all of this. Zion is allowed to grow and grow and grow until it's time to wipe it out and reset it, right? The architect tells Neo, you are the sixth anomaly. And basically, every 100 years or so, we take all of the code from all of the weird anomalies that happen, and we put those codes to, oh, shoot. There we go. We put those codes together and we produce a mind called the One. And the One has to go through this path where they are set free. They are given the choice with the red pill, blue pill, and then they're set free. And once they're set free, of course, they're going to come back and then they're going to talk to the Oracle. And all of this. Oh, okay. That's because I showed too much of it. Ah,